Hey everybody, welcome to a quick little, tutorial on how to properly shape the plastic leaves, excuse me, that you get for Weta's Masters Collection Treebeard statue. So in the earlier video, I showed you where to put all the different leaves, and we talked about shaping things. Now again, it comes in 5 different types of leaves, going from the smallest to the largest. So this is actually, I believe this is B. Let me take a look. Yeah, this is bag B, of which there are 6 pieces. This is the largest plastic leaf. Okay, and it comes like this. So you can see it's basically completely flat. And I've already shaped a couple of them. It's actually a pretty time-intensive process. And in shaping them, I finally kind of have realized what I'm supposed to do. So I figured that I would, sort of do this and then show you how I do it so that you'll have some idea. And then show you kind of what it looks like on Treebeard, on the statue itself. So for bags B, C, and A, or ABC, in terms of the size, B is the biggest, followed by A, which is the green color tags, and then followed by orange, which is the C, right? They all come flat like this, okay? And it just kind of different sizes, different numbers of branches. D and E, which is the pink and the blue, are really, really tiny. I mean, they're so tiny. You saw that during my assembly video. I'm still not really convinced that shaping them is going to do too much. I may consider doing it, but I think that it's imperative that the big flat branches like these, in other words, ABC or BAC, excuse me, BAC if you go by size, I think it's imperative that you have to do something with that, because when you have a branch like this that's just really, really flat, it's just extremely unnatural looking. And it doesn't, obviously there's nothing like this that remotely, resembles this type of pattern on normal trees. We don't want that. So I think, again, the 6 B pieces, the biggest pieces, the 7 A pieces, and the 10 C pieces all need to be shaped so that it doesn't look like this, it doesn't look flat. So how do we do this? Well, on the Weta instructional video, the very famous one, they basically recommend a hairdryer. I don't like that idea. It actually shows him literally hair drying the plastic leaves when it's already been placed on Treebeard, and he just basically is blow drying and he's just bending it and twisting it. I don't like that for a lot of reasons. Number one, I think the hairdryer's airflow is way too high. Number one. Number two, it'll probably knock the leaf off. And then number 3, I don't think it quite gets it hot enough, fast enough. And so I don't like that, okay? So actually my advice would be to buy a heat gun, okay? The heat gun here, I have one here that's, pretty small. You just grip it like this, there's a little stand, and it basically generates heat out of this nozzle. It has a plastic cone around it to protect you from getting burned from the nozzle. And then the heat comes out this way, okay? So get this on Amazon.com. It's called, the one I bought is called Chandler. There's all, but I mean, you can buy whatever heat gun you want. They're all the same, basically. But I like this one, and it's about 20 bucks. Well worth the investment when you just dropped like thousands, right, on Treebeard. It has 2 settings, both low and high, okay? And these settings refer to both the heat as well as the airflow. So it's not too complicated to use. You basically turn it on, and then what you do is you essentially, spread the heat all the way throughout the frond, and after just a few seconds, it'll get really, really soft. So Of course, you want to be safe about it. By the way, when the heat comes out, it doesn't instantly burn your hand. You'll feel the warmth quickly get hot and then just immediately move it away. Okay, so I usually like to grip it at the very, very end like this. Now you can have various, tweezers, and I even have a scissor sometimes to just cut some of the pieces of plastic that are stuck together. But in reality, you don't need to do all of that. So I have it ready just in case, but I'll demonstrate with this. So you pick this up, and then I turn it on to the highest setting, number 2. Okay, so you want to go high setting, high heat, high flow, and then basically just do this. Just kind of move it around evenly, turn it around, and just keep on applying. Take a few seconds, and you'll actually start to see it begin to warp a little bit. And then turn it off. And it's already feeling very, very warm, And at that point, what you do is you just basically start twisting it in random directions, and you want to break the plane so that it actually feels like a twig with multiple different directions. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. You just start kind of bending it around. And remember, it doesn't have to bend just one way. It's multi-planar, so you can actually bend and twist it a little bit. And here it doesn't quite feel, hot enough. And so if that doesn't feel warm enough, you just keep on going. You want to get it hot enough that it basically starts becoming very, very malleable, okay? And I find this much better, faster, and more controlled than a hairdryer. You never want to stay in one spot for too long. Just keep moving it around. And then you'll feel it, and you can see how it's definitely a lot more a lot bendier. Yeah, and then when it's really bendy, take advantage, move things around, and then kind of twist it in various ways until, until it hardens. So remember that in the air, it will begin to harden very quickly. And when it does that, it'll start not being so malleable. So you want to use multiple fingers, get random angles, positions, and you want to, again, break the flat plane of the original so that it goes in many different ways, many different directions. Then just hold it there while it cools down, and it'll start hardening. And it'll take multiple passes. It may take several passes of the heat gun to, reheat it and make it bendy again, so you can then work on the finer little fronds here or there. So you may have to make it hot, then put it into a certain configuration you want, let it cool down, then spot heat the different, the different leaves to get them to bend in certain ways. But remember that even though it's not, as long as it's not cold, you can still bend it a little bit, and it'll probably still do various things, But when it's really, really cold, it won't do any of that. So now, as you can see, it's already sort of cool down. You can see that this is now very much different than the original, which is completely flat. Okay, so at this point, I'm pretty happy with this. And I can go on a low setting, and then just basically spot heat some of the tips like that. And then when that is done, you can see I can work on this now. And then again, because it's more, more malleable because I warmed it up, I can then kind of twist it in little areas, again, to give it just kind of randomness. So the key is to just kind of give it some random distribution, and then hold it while it cools down. It'll set like this. You can, by the way, hurry the process. by just dunking it in ice cold water. Like, get a bunch of water, dump some ice cubes in it, and then you basically heat, bend, and then splash in the water. But then, it gets kind of messy. Because I'm going to be doing this again and again. And so I tend not to want to do that as much, but it's definitely a viable thing you can do if you so wish, okay? So like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna bend it like that. Again, when it's still warm, you're able to do some of that stuff. And then here, for instance, I don't quite like this angle as much, so I'm gonna hit it. And I want to do maybe this, like, I want to do some of this to it, like that. Like I wanted to go up and out a little bit more, like this, for instance. And so, again, I hit it with the heat gun. That'll make it just malleable enough for me to do certain things with it. You just keep doing it until you're, satisfied with how it looks. And everybody, of course, has their own preferences. So mine, I like to go for the random, kind of randomness of the leaves. I want it to be kind of wild, unpredictable, no discernible pattern. That's kind of my particular look that I want to go for my Treebeard, but everybody will have different preferences. That's the beauty of it. So this is the part here now that's really, really like soft, and I'm kind of twisting it. Here it's already kind of hardened because I haven't done much. So as you can see, I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. Now I'm going to go up top here and hit it here. Usually a few seconds is all it takes, as you can see, already becoming very, very soft, And then I take advantage of that softness to kind of shape it again in a way that I like. I just hold it like this, and then it'll start again, sort of cooling down, and then it'll harden in this way. And so if you do it like this, you'll have a lot more control. And you can see how now, look at, you remember how it looked before I started, how it was all flat, and now it's really bendy, going off in different directions. It looks really, really good. And you really can't achieve this level of effect with a hairdryer. And the reason for that is because I don't think the hairdryer can get it so hot, so quick. And you can see that this is way more precise in terms of doing things. So this is kind of what you want to do with all of them, okay? And then once you have that on, we're going to put it on. I'm going to do that right now. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like that. See? So I shaped it, I put it on, and look how much better this looks than, for instance, like this guy right here. Like, see how this is completely flat? Well, let me show another one. Like these guys here. See how they're all just like completely flat, right? They're all flat. And we're going to take all of these guys and we're going to turn them into this. And when you do that, it just looks way more natural. So for instance, this is another example of one I did here, one I did here. Look at this, I did another one here. So these are all the ones that I've bent, okay, using this technique. So it's gonna take a lot of time, but every one of these, just work on bending them. And I think it's gonna look a lot better, but that's how you do it. This is an example of the pink ones, right? See how kind of like small they are? And I'm debating, whether I really want to do too much bending. I don't know how it'll look bent. It seems like it's made more to be sticking straight out, but I'll experiment with that. But for sure, the bigger ones, like for instance, this one right here, these guys, all these guys need to be bent and look more like this, because the effect is just so much nicer. It looks so much more natural, in my opinion, And again, you don't have to go crazy. Like this one, I actually was a little bit more subtle. I didn't bend quite as much. Same thing here. So the orientation and where it sits will kind of guide you toward what you want to do. Okay, but that's actually how you want to mold your Treebeard so that he looks really, really good. But again, when you look at, like, say, number E, which is the blue, and it's super small, when you look at how tiny this is, again, it's already so small that it doesn't look flat or unconvincing. So, I don't think it needs any bending. Like these guys, the ones on top of his head, the little ones, that already looks pretty natural. You know what I mean? So I think that ought to be okay. All right, so that's my little tutorial again on how to use a heat gun to bend these plastic leaves to the way you want it. I hope you found that useful. Until next time, do take care.